There are moments within every great video game that define it, where your expectation of the game that you've been playing gets utterly flipped on its head, where you come across some scenery that is just so breathtaking that you can't help take it in, or when a piece of music plays that you somehow know will be sticking with you for the rest of your life. For me, these experiences have been in games such as Death Stranding, with its gorgeous views, Outer Wilds with basically everything but its music in particular, and with Final Fantasy VII and scenes like the church scene and its music throughout the game. And now I can add to that list Warframe's The Second Dream quest. This questline, while in and of itself is not necessarily anything insane, the mission structure is nothing too crazy for the game up until this point, but it's the context that this mission provides and the ending and how it completely changes your perception of everything up until this point in the game. Although the quest is a few years old at this point, it is still one of the most incredible quest lines I've ever played in a video game. And like I said, not because of how insane the mission design is or anything, but because of the context and the background and how it completely and utterly reframes the entirety of this 70+ hour experience I've already had prior to playing this quest. Obviously, there are going to be spoilers in this video, so if you're playing Warframe or planning on playing Warframe, please do not watch the rest of this video. Click away, go experience this for yourself, and then if you want, come back and hear my thoughts on it, because this is absolutely something worth not getting spoiled. It has been a few weeks since I completed the second Dream quest in Warframe, and if you're familiar with this questline, then you already know what it entails. I went into this pretty spoiler-free, thankfully. I knew at some point in the game there was a child involved in the main storyline and that somehow we were connected with that, but I didn't know much more than that. Before I go into what this quest does, I kind of want to set the stage if you're unfamiliar with Warframe, which, like I said, if you don't care, I guess you're still watching, but I kind of want to set the stage of why this quest was and is still so pivotal to the game and how it's just absolutely incredible. So because of the way Warframe works, this quest line comes at a point where, at least for me, I was about 70 to 80 hours in the game, which is a very long time, right? And up until this point, there hasn't really been any major story quest lines for the most part. I experienced the open world Fortuna and a couple of the stories kind of ingrained in that area alone, and then some things in the Plains of Eidolon, and then little one-off stories of different Warframes themselves, which were good in their own rights, but there's not been a main cinematic story quest line. The context of who you are and what your character isn't explained besides the fact that you're just this cool suit. I thought I was like a mech suit that has these cool abilities and you can kind of switch in and out depending on what your playstyle is. That was my assumption of what the Tenno and what a Warframe was. And if you've played this questline, as you know, that is not the case. What I found incredible about the Second Dream questline is that, as I said, it completely flips on its head everything I had assumed I thought I knew about my character in Warframe. I saw this meme a lot going in this questline that's haha, no other game does this where there's a character creation screen 100 hours in. And I was like, there's no way that that's the case, right? Somehow, Warframe pulls it off in a way that is both perfectly in line with everything that has come before it, and what I'm assuming is setting the stage for the rest of the story, because I haven't played much past the Second Dream. I think I'm close to starting the New War storyline, and then obviously after that, the War Within and everything that entails, which I don't know what it entails, so I'm very much looking forward to that, and potentially we'll be making videos on those as well. So if you enjoyed this Warframe video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you're a fan, let me know your thoughts on the game and this quest in particular. So at the beginning of the Second Dream, we're introduced to this sentient Hun Hao who's awakened from his slumber and is trying to seek revenge on us for some reason or another, and we don't really know why. They're basically looking for the Tenno's weakness, which my assumption was just that Tenno is another name for the Warframe, and soon to find out that that was not the case. But as the main storyline kind of goes on, we're trying to stop this Hun Hao from destroying the Tenno's weakness, which is ends up being something that our friend the Lotus, who's been with us this entire time, guiding us along, actually hid away the whole entire moon because the Tenno's weakness was on there. We don't know what it is. She's being super coy about it. But what ends up happening is Lotus has to bring the moon out of whatever black hole space that she'd been hiding it in order to allow us to then go on the moon and stop Hun Hao. that's basically the quest in a nutshell. But throughout the quest line, we're going into these old ruins of the Orokin, which up until this point in the game, like, I knew very little of. I think there was some stuff I could have learned, but I kind of missed it, being honest. You're just kind of uncovering all of this lore and all this past stuff that the Lotus has been super secretive of. You're seeing all these old ruins, and as you're walking through them, you're hearing whispers. You're hearing whispers of children, whispers of adults saying things that I don't really understand, and piquing my interest. And this leads until the very last mission of the second Dream quest line, because it's really not a long one. I believe it took me maybe an hour to get through, but we make it to the weakness of the Tenno, which again, up until this point, Lotus has told us literally nothing about. But much to my surprise, when we get there, my Warframe collapses to the ground, and there's this pod that appears, and it opens up to see a child.
Dream. Not of what you are, but of what you want to be.
And the camera perspective actually shifts, looking from the first-person view of this child down onto your own Warframe. So it's important to note that throughout the missions at this point, Lotus has been discussing the race of the Orokin and how they were trapped in space, and among some other things. I'm sorry, I really don't remember. I tried to find specifics, but she's discussing all of this, and it's kind of out of context for us until the point that we get to this moment. And realize that the reason the Lotus hid away the moon and hid away the reservoir is because she is actually the one who saved this child. And not only this child, there's quite a few, and they're the last of the Tenno of the Orokin race, I believe, and they are actually the ones in control of the Warframes themselves. They were put on the ship because they were too powerful, and then left to die, I believe, and Lotus saved them, which is why she always calls us her child. Everything gets turned on its head. Who I thought I was, what I thought I was as a Tenno, as just my Warframe itself, is completely changed. And the mission proceeds by your Warframe carrying you, the Tenno child, out to safety and back into your ship, where Lotus herself finally shows her face in more than just a hologram and carries you onto the somatic link, which allows the Tenno to then link with their Warframes. And it's at this point that the character creation screen comes up and you can customize your actual character, which again, I thought the Warframes were just our characters. And I thought it was kind of like a Destiny thing. Turns out all of that was not true. And I cannot imagine having played this game for like 5 years, 4 years or whatever, and then get this quest dropped in your lap. Like, I would have lost my absolute mind even more than I did when I play it currently. And that's why this is one of those incredible gaming moments that I don't think I'm ever going to forget. I know I didn't do a great job at explaining all the lore and everything, but honestly, I'm still trying to figure it all out myself. But it's in this character creation screen that the Lotus kind of does do a huge lore dump, which I actually listened to twice because I was very confused and overwhelmed. But you then get to choose like even more customization in these like 5 different schools, Tenno schools that like give some extra bonuses. I think I haven't really delved into that too much. But the most important thing is that it allows me to now have this like absolutely massive like freaking Iron Man beam every once in a while with my Warframe, which is pretty sweet. I'm very much a fan of that, and I've been using that. But I am very interested to see where the story goes from here, because if this was one of the first true cinematic quests that Warframe has to offer, I cannot imagine what the rest of them have to offer. And even if the rest of them aren't on the level of this ending mission, it doesn't really matter, because this quest ultimately changed everything how I view in Warframe and really has me more invested than it already was. And again, is truly one of those gaming moments that for me, I will never forget. So if you're someone who hasn't played Warframe and somehow got all the way to the end of this video, I urge you to please go try the game out. It takes a long time to get to the cinematic quests and everything, but my goodness, is it absolutely worth it, and I am very excited to play the rest. And this game is still going strong. They actually just dropped a brand new update a couple days, maybe a week or two ago, before the end of the year. I'm very invested and will continue playing. So let me know any of your thoughts, your reaction to the Second Dream questline, your non-spoiler thoughts on the other quest lines, the Second War and the War Within. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a wonderful day, Tenno.
Dream. not of what you are, but of what you want to be.